Good morning, boys and girls. Today I'm going to tell you the difference between poems, plays or dramas, and prose or narratives. So, the first thing that we're going to look at today is a poem called The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Now, the basis of poems is stanzas. All of the lines in a poem represent different stanzas of the poem. Tiger, tiger, burning bright is one stanza. There is also imagery usually placed within poems. So can you picture a tiger burning bright in the middle of the night? It'd be like finding a tiger in the middle of the forest. And poems are usually used to represent images. Now, the second thing that we're going to look at is a short story. Short stories usually have a setting, characters, and some dialogue within the story itself. So today we're going to read a little bit of a town mouse and a country mouse. A town mouse and a country mouse were friends. The country mouse one day invited his friend to come and see him at his home in the fields. The town mouse came, and they sat down to a dinner of barley corns and roots, the latter of which had a distinctly earthly flavor. This part is the setting. They are telling you where the story is taking place, as well as introducing two of the characters. You can assume that these two characters are going to be the main point of the story. The flavor was not much to the taste of the guest, and presently he broke out with, "My poor dear friend, you live here no better than ants. Now you should just see how I fare. My larder is a regular horn of plenty. You must come and stay with me, and I promise you shall live on the fat of the land." The quotation marks have dialogue in between them. Dialogue is when a character in a short story is speaking. Poems usually don't have dialogue. That's a really big difference between these two. Both of them can contain imagery, but the main point of a poem is to get the image across, whereas the main point of a story usually has a moral. At the bottom, you'll see that if you were to read the rest of the story, the moral that you would get is safety is the first importance. The second thing we're going to look at today is a play. The play that we're looking at is called Androcles and the Lion by Peter Bond. Now, the first part of a play usually has the different characters set out. This is so you know how many participants you'll need when you go to actually act out the play. Stories and poems usually aren't acted out, but plays, that is their main point. So after you have all of your characters, you can move on to the actual play. A play is set up so that you have a stage layout. So if you look at this one, it says, "Outside a hut belonging to Androcles and his mother. Enter narrator right. He remains on stage throughout." So this shows you that the play will be taking place outside a hut that belongs to Androcles. So the stage would look like it was outside of a hut. And then you also have stage directions. When it says enter narrator right, this means the narrator at that point would enter the stage to the right. And with him remaining on stage throughout, it means that he just doesn't change. If you look at the name narrator, you see that there are colons and then some speech. Plays are usually set out to where you have the name of a character that's talking and then what they say. For instance, the narrator here says, "Back in the days of the Emperor Nero, there lived a rather unlikely hero, a man who loved the birds and bees, a man whose name was Androcles. Androcles lived with his mom, helping her on their tiny farm." And it says, "Mother bustles in stage left, holding a pitchfork or other farm implement." Therefore, at that point in time, the mother would enter through the stage left. Plays always have your dialogue, well, the character, then your dialogue, and then stage directions if necessary. Some plays will have more stage directions than others, some of them are meant to be put up by the director. It just depends. So, for a quick review, poems usually show imagery, stories typically have a moral, and dramas are set up to be acted out. Can you find poems, short stories, or plays to look at and act out? Would you be able to tell the difference yet? These are questions you should ask yourself. Goodbye, boys and girls.